Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Born on this date in 1935, soul singer Earl Gaines of Decatur. In 1942, actor, attorney, and U.S. Senator who represented Tennessee, Fred Thompson of Sheffield. I still love his take as the Bill France-inspired NASCAR chief on Days of Thunder. And in 1973, former NBA and Alabama basketball player and basketball coach Roy Rogers of Linden. Today's National Potato Day, so time to carbo load. I wanted to apologize also. I really mangled the name of the SCLC yesterday. It's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I managed to start that out, Southern Conference, and my brain wouldn't let me go back to conference, so it came out, I think, Southern Conference Leadership Center. But it's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and the context was that Bishop Calvin Woods Sr. had spent many years serving at the organization's state and national levels. Woods was called home over the weekend at age 91. Today, we have updates from Death Row, the Crime Beat, and Magic City Classic preparations. Then, after the break, Amber Sutton from This Is Alabama will join us to tell you about the long-promised Best of Unsung Alabama Barbecue as determined by their readers. Could be that some of you here nominated the winner. My name's Ike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
A death row inmate scheduled to be the next to die by nitrogen gas is fighting that fate in court, even claiming to prefer firing squad, hanging, or medical aid in dying, reports AL.com's Savannah Rinkew. Anthony Boyd chose nitrogen over lethal injection as his execution method back in 2018. Now, that was when the method was yet to be used and had an uncertain legal future, and inmates were given a choice between the two methods of execution. Now, 5 Alabama inmates have died by breathing nitrogen gas. The Alabama Attorney General's office has argued that the nitrogen protocol causes the condemned to quickly lose consciousness. Boyd's lawyers are arguing that the protocol doesn't specify who's responsible for parts of the execution process and how they were trained to perform it. They also argue that in the previous nitrogen executions, quote, each prisoner previously executed by the state's protocol showed signs of conscious suffocation, terror, and pain, end quote. They also claim that Boyd's asthma could complicate the process. A hearing in the case is coming up on September 4th. Back in 1993, Boyd and 3 other men were stiffed in a drug deal. They picked up the victim in Anniston, took him to Munford, taped him to a park bench, doused him with gas, and set him on fire. According to court records, the man owed them $200. Boyd is scheduled to die on October 23rd or in the early morning hours of October 24th. Those of us who remember using landline telephones in the days before widely used caller ID all had that friend or friends who got his thrills on making random prank calls. The old, is your refrigerator running? Or come get your dog out of my yard in the middle of the night, or various others that I probably shouldn't say out loud. Fortunately, even that friend made the good sense decision to not make those calls to 911. Well, authorities are now accusing a 23-year-old Birmingham man of being a serial swatter, reports AL.com's Carol Robinson. The man's been charged with 9 counts of swatting, 2 counts of impersonating a police officer, and one count of false reporting to law enforcement. Charging documents say he made most of the calls to 911 and claimed crimes were taking place, which is what swatting is. You call the police, you report a fake crime in order to kind of create a ruckus. Now, in one of the calls, the man allegedly said he had his eye on a murder suspect who had eluded police. In another, he allegedly said that a car had crashed into a home and caused a fire that had trapped people inside. And authorities said there were calls in which he claimed to be a police officer or a firefighter. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Henry Irby said hoax calls are no joke. Quote, those resources that have been used to go to swatting calls are resources that have been taken away from where they could have been used somewhere else. It's not a laughing matter, and there's no reason for it. Someone could have been hurt or killed, end quote. Well, this season's Magic City Classic football game between Alabama A&M and Alabama State will bring extra attention from ESPN, reports AL.com's Andrew Hammond. First Take, the talk show helmed by Stephen A. Smith, will do its show from Legion Field on the day before the October 25th Classic. Now, of course, the Magic City Classic as a cultural event is much bigger than the actual ball game, and clearly that's what the draw is for First Take. That or Stephen A. Smith wanted to schedule a workday's worth of celebrity sightings in Southern barbecue. Let's take a real quick break. Speaking of barbecue, we'll be back with Amber Sutton and Unsung Alabama Barbecue. Y'all stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. Regular listeners will recall that we had a brief, semi-regular feature here with Haley Lawrence of This Is Alabama, not to be confused with Down in Alabama. It was on their summer series of stories called Unsung Alabama, where they uncovered food and destinations and musicians and just stuff that a lot of people don't know about. At the time, they said that one of their big splashes for the summertime was going to be having readers nominate unsung barbecue joints and then determining the winner statewide. Now, that got my attention, being barbecue. So I insisted that we get back together to let folks know which off the beaten path barbecue joint won. So today we have at Down in Alabama Studios, the reporter who did the story, Amber Sutton. Welcome aboard, Amber. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Well, you got what I consider a pretty cool job to go out and do the story of the barbecue place that won. Can you tell us how it was determined?
Well, first off, it was determined by we shared a call out on This Is Alabama's social pages as well as AL.com, just asking people to kind of let us know about the barbecue joints that, new or old, they kind of felt were deserving of a little more love. We have a lot of iconic barbecue places in the South and
Yes.
in Alabama, but we kind of wanted to hear about the ones that maybe are just as good but don't get as much recognition. We've got hundreds of responses from that. Took me a long time to go through all of them. After that, we kind of pulled the ones that got the most mentions, and Buddy's Barbecue came up early and often in those. And then
Okay.
once we shared a poll on AL.com asking people to officially vote after, I believe we pulled, it was either 10 or a dozen of the ones that were the most popular. It got the most votes by a lot. And so that was when we knew we had our winner.
You said Buddy's Barbecue. Where's that?
It's in Talladega.
I have never been there, so you're going to have to tell me a little bit about it. Now, there's not a huge difference, but there's a little difference North Alabama to South Alabama in the Alabama white sauce and that sort of thing. What is the big thing at Buddy's Barbecue?
Well, one of their big things is their ribs. He said that owner Shane Denny, I believe that's how you say his last name. I've actually never said it out loud. I've always written it, so hopefully I'm saying that right.
Yes. Welcome to my world of vodka. To be a word guy, having to speak, in the middle of the night. I'm going, how do you pronounce this? Oh no.
Yeah. But he said that that's one of the items they sell the most of is their ribs. Another item that is popular for them that you probably wouldn't expect is hush puppies.
All right.
They make them from scratch every day using his personal recipe. And he actually shared a video of himself making them on social media a couple months ago. And since then, it's gotten more than 500,000 views and shares from people who just want to make these at home because they're that good.
Did you have the hush puppies?
I did, of course. I have to try them. And they were really good. They're big hush puppies, and they will definitely fill you up. I also tried the ribs, which were also great. They're the kind of ribs you don't really need sauce for, which I think is a great indication of how good they are.
Oh yeah.
And then he also is kind of does a meat and three
Hmm.
option at lunchtime. And so I tried some of the sides that they had that day, and it was all really good, excellent food, as I could tell it was going to be when I got there because I got there right as lunch was starting and the parking lot was already so full I had to park across the street.
Yeah, we're thinking of ribs in Alabama, and a lot of us go to a certain place. So I'm gonna potentially get you in trouble here. So
Oh
you might
no, don't
you
do it.
might plead the fifth, but I'm wondering how Buddy's ribs stacks up against Dreamland ribs. That's my first question.
Oh, you are going to get me in trouble. You know, I haven't had Dreamland ribs in a while. I think
Mm.
since we did the AL.com search for the best ribs in 2016, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
I'm more of a pulled pork girl. So I'm going to say Buddies just because I haven't had Dreamland in a
All
while.
right. Way to
Does that
go,
count?
buddies. Yeah, I think is
I'm
there's
so
a little
sorry. Please don't be
yeah,
mad at me.
yeah, if anybody's gonna get mad at her, there's a little recency bias there. That's okay. That's
Yes, I
to be
can't
expected.
recall.
Well, you've got me thinking about hush puppies now because that's what I believe. You said it's a surprise, a little bit of a surprise, being a barbecue joint and hush puppies being a big thing. I think hush puppies are like coleslaw. I don't care what kind of restaurant you have. That's the side dish. That's the bread and the green is a lot of times for me is no matter what I get, coleslaw and hush puppies.
Well, they had coleslaw too, so you would be set, I guess. Yeah, I think that coleslaw is typically like a sea, or not coleslaw. Hush puppies, I
Uh-huh.
think of as typically a seafood
That's right.
side, and coleslaw for that matter. But yeah, so it was kind of surprising to hear that that was one of their,
Mhm,
star dishes was
mhm.
hush puppies. But they were really good. Once I tried it, I was like, I understand.
Well, let's move on beyond buddies, and we're not necessarily comparing here, but, do you have a personal favorite, hole in the wall, unsung barbecue? Something else that showed up or that you like to go to, or maybe not. Maybe you like the big boys.
I do love Saws, and I think of that as a big boy barbecue spot.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, but there is a place in Prattville, which is where I'm from, called Rox's Barbecue, and it got named a few times in the nominations. So I was excited to see that. But it's probably where I go when I'm craving barbecue. It's got, like I said, really good pulled pork, and it's got all the kind of classic sides. So it's
Mhm.
just sort of your quintessential barbecue spot.
I'm the same way. Pulled pork to me is a synonym for barbecue. I mean, that's what barbecue is. And then you can also have ribs that you slow cook and chicken and whatever. But yeah, I do think that that pulled pork shoulder on a sandwich with coleslaw and now hush puppies are to be expected.
Wait, so do you put the coleslaw on the sandwich with the pork, or is it a side for you?
You know what? I can go either way with that because it depends. If you got a lot of pickles on the sandwich, I don't need it, but it's kind of nice to have that cool crunch, I guess. I definitely put it on the sandwich sometimes.
Same.
Well, now in this unsung series, y'all looked at all kinds of stuff, and I didn't warn you about this, but I want to try to pull out of you maybe um, one or two picks, something that caught your eye as you were working on. I think you did a pizza roundup, for example. Is there a
Hmm.
pizzeria in Alabama you want to send me to?
Oh gosh, there was so many on there that I haven't been to that were just, again, that was a kind of a crowdsourced article where we asked
Hmm.
readers on This Is Alabama's Facebook page to share their favorites. And so many of them came up that I had never been to. So there's a lot that I need to try too. There was one in Montgomery, which is close to me. Can a brother get a slice? And I've heard that that's really great. So that's one that I'm gonna try. They have a braided crust that's like their signature thing, which
uh,
is makes it kind of stand out a little bit. So yeah, I think
what
I'm
a
gonna head there next after that.
what a great name! Can a brother get a slice
Yeah.
in Montgomery?
Yeah, and the names of their pizzas are very unique too. I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I remember when I was going down the menu, I was like, "Oh, look at these like, and I think it was very gourmet sort of toppings on some of them, or
Mhm.
unexpected combinations."
This is all reminding me next time when y'all decide you want to do a best golf courses of Alabama, give me a call. I've already done best fried chicken. I got pulled into that. That was just how horrible.
So you got pulled into it, huh? They had to really twist your arm for that one.
They did. They twisted my arm, said you're gonna actually have to get out of the newsroom for a while and eat fried chicken. So that was rough. But yeah, best golf courses. I'm ready for that one. Um, what other kind of stories are you working on right now? I've actually seen one in the background on the on the computer machine that you're working on, but I'm not gonna pin you down on that. But are you? Is there anything else we can look for from Amber Sutton in the coming days?
In the coming days, I am currently working on a Alabama bucket list. It's sort of just places and things and um, that you can visit in Alabama that kind of make up the Alabama experience. It's another one that we asked readers to send in their ideas for. So it's kind of a mix of their suggestions and kind of other areas that we feel like if you're coming to Alabama, these are the things that you need to do to really get the experience in. So
Mhm.
hopefully that'll come up sometime this week.
Great. My bucket list is pretty much every barbecue place that I haven't been to.
There's
But
a lot of them. That's what I learned from doing unsung barbecue is I didn't realize there was that many barbecue places until
oh,
I had to comb through those comments.
Oh, so many. And you know what? Before we go, I'll just throw out an unsung barbecue joint that I came across, and I haven't been by there in years. But in Sylacauga, there was a place called Good Old Boys that I stopped and got a sandwich and coleslaw, of course. And at the time, I swore it was the best barbecue sandwich I've ever had. Now, I don't know if I was really, really hungry or it really was, but that was solid. So that's another one. If it's still there, it was in an old converted gas station, I think. But
Wow. Yeah, I actually think that one was on the list. I'm gonna have to go back and check and see and let you know.
oh, excellent, excellent. Somebody's got good taste. Well, Amber Sutton, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. You'll come back, talk about a story you're working on sometime in the future, and we'll break it down like we did barbecue.
Okay, yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everybody out there for listening to us. We're going to be back here bright and early tomorrow. Until then, y'all come by and see us anytime you can. We're on the World Wide Web at al.com.